And recording. Ooh.
Yay!
Hello.
Hello, it's your friendly Ajima Sam.
And Mason.
And you know it's good when you hear Right Company.
All right. So today we don't have a Thai boys love. We have a Korean boys love. It's like the second Korean boys love. Came out right after Where Your Eyes Linger. Is that what it's called?
That's what it's called.
And today we are following Mr. Heart.
Yes, Mr. Hart, which I feel like whoever produced Mr. Hart must have been like stalking Mason and said, let me give Mason what he wants. Because this
Really?
very much, yes, because this very much felt like this was catered to your desires in terms of the central character's personality traits.
That's true. I really like the cat and dog type thing where it's like the one quiet, kind of stiffer tsundere type character, and then the like very outgoing, fluffy personality character.
Yeah, so this was definitely made for Mason, and since it was made for Mason, I'm going to let Mason give us the synopsis. Yay!
So it follows the story of Juan, who is a runner. Like, he likes running for fun. He's one of those people. He runs for fun. He does marathons for school. I guess he wants to be a pro runner. It's not clear. He runs for school, and he basically ends up meeting Sangha, who is going to be his pacemaker, who honestly, I don't know what that means. He's going to run with him. And Sangha early on tells him, I've liked you for many years, ever since we were in high school. And Juan is like, I don't know about that one, Chief. And it's just kind of about how they get together. It's not a big plot.
No, it's not. But it has some potential for big plotness that they just didn't quite go there. Right off the bat, I can tell you, I wanted to like this show, and then something happened at the end of episode 6 that pissed me the fuck off. And it really clouded the way I felt about this show after the show was over.
What happened?
The whole, I'm not going to sign the pacemaker contract because I'm not going to let you pay for my love and support. So there's a couple of like subplots in this show besides just the main two characters getting together. There's a very small subplot at the very beginning in the first episode about the fact that Jinwon is running and his dad doesn't approve because it's not a respectable sport. But that like doesn't ever go anywhere.
My favorite part about that is his dad is like, you should play a respectable sport like golf. And I was like, is golf like some respected sport in Korea? Because I have questions. What a weird thing.
I feel like golf is a business sport.
Yeah. It's just like it's golf. But also like I have never seen a parent be mad at their kid for wanting to be in athletics. You know? Like usually they're like, oh, maybe you'll get a scholarship. Like that's usually how that goes. At least in America. Maybe in Korea it's different. Again, American perspective, you know. It's usually like, oh, what are you doing with theater or the arts? It's usually like the arts that are more like, oh, you should be studying instead. I've never seen it happen with like a physical activity like that. So I thought that was weird. And that he picked golf as like the better, he's getting more exercise running than he is with fucking golf. Anyways.
Yeah. So like they have that argument and then he says, Jinwon's like, basically, I became a great runner in defiance of my dad, but once I got to college and I had to be an adult runner, all of a sudden I lost my way, which I never quite understood what it was about going to college that caused him to lose his way with the running. It seems like his dad and him did not reconcile because they never bring it up again. We never see his dad again. So it's like, I feel like you can still give a fuck you to your dad by being the best marathon runner in the world and be like, you thought I wasn't going to amount to anything. Well, look at me now, Dad, Olympics. Right. So that's why, like, that plot line being dropped and never mentioned again, I was kind of like, that's a little bit annoying, but I can forgive it. But then they make a point on the subplot to tell us about the fact that Sangha lost his mother when he was in middle school, and that there was a lot of debt behind his mother's hospital bills, and that he's been paying off the mafia ever since to pay off these hospital bills. And so in episode 6, he's offered a contract to be the pacemaker for Jinwon, and it's a payment of $5,000 up front, and then an additional $5,000 for every 25K he can complete, I guess. And he turns it down and gets mad and like, fuck you, I don't want your money, I want your heart, and runs off. And I was so angry because I've never been as poor as Sangha. Like, I've never lost both of my parents and had to like work on my own to provide for my entire being. But I have been poor. Like, my mom had food stamps when we were growing up. We drank powdered milk. Like, I've been poor. I cannot imagine someone offering me the equivalent of a debt-free life and me being pissed off about that. Right. Especially because it's not even a gift. It's in exchange for work being done.
Right. Like, it's not a trick. It's like, oh, this is legit. Like, you are owed this money. You're doing a job, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I also didn't get, in that same scene, the end of that scene, there's like one of the debt collectors is in the hallway, right? And Sangha runs off. And then the debt collector runs into frame with like Juan, the girl, and the coach, and then starts chasing Sangha. Like, if you see some crusty middle-aged man chasing after your friend,
why would you run after him?
Why didn't they do anything about it?
I don't know. It was so nonsense. Like, literally, his head was turned like this as people are running. You don't feel that energy beside you? And it's just, no, I have no idea what's going on. I'm totally oblivious. What?
Yeah.
Debt collector who? So, yeah, it just, the debt collector storyline bothered me. And it bothered me because it made no sense, the fact that he wouldn't take the money. But then, like, the debt collector storyline for me, I feel like if we had introduced that at the very beginning of like our introduction to Sanghwa, that would have been a much more effective through line as the subplot for this story.
Honestly, I just say cut it completely, because the very next few episodes they play it for laughs, and it's like, what? Like, I don't know if it was weird when they were like at his game, like, you know, pay off your debt somehow with signs, and they were like, goodbye, little guy, we'll never see you again. Like, it was like, wait, the first few times we saw you, you were beating him up and like threatening to like kill him, and now this is like a joke? I don't know. It was a weird tone. And I would have been okay if the debt collectors were comic relief characters, but it wasn't, this show didn't feel like a comedy, so it was a little, tonally, it was confusing. And I wish that the show had kind of picked one or the other and maybe really leaned into, we're gonna make something dramatic, or they made this one a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, I think I almost feel like I would have leaned into the dramatic a little bit, because I mean, that's pretty heavy to be an orphan. He's never known his father. His mother died when he was young. He's been paying all his own bills. That's high-key dramatic stuff. But because I always kind of like fantasize in my mind when I watch these shows, I really liked the two underling debt collectors, even though I know that like tonally they were very different from their boss. I had this whole fantasy in my mind that he was raised by the two debt collectors when his mom died, and that they make him pay off his debt, but like he also lives with them because he was a little kid who didn't have any money. And then that's the reason why they're crying, because like, we're never going to see our baby again.
That would have been a funny subplot. See, this could have been a comedy. I'm into it. They're like his two dads.
That's what I'm thinking. His two dads, his two gay dads, who are also like mob enforcers, and they're like, we love you, son, but you need to pay us our money.
I love it. I want to see it. Please, someone make this.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking the whole time, because I'm like, I can almost get them being like, pay your debt, son. You know, it's like, because they're his two mob dads.
Yeah.
And then, like, as he's leaving, he's like, can I borrow $5,000?
And also, the mob subplot, none of the other characters really find out about it. So what was the point? Like, I thought the point of contention would be Juan being like, oh, like, you did that because you needed to pay back the mafia? Like, this is some serious stuff. I don't know how I feel about this. But the point of contention was nothing. Like, essentially, like, really, at the end, nothing.
Also, it's a little too on the nose that they're offering him the exact amount he needs to pay back the mob. It would have made more sense if they had offered him just a little bit less than he owed the mob, but as he competes in every race, he can slowly make enough money over the course of a season to pay the mob back.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, is a little bit better than, like, we'll give you $5,000, $10,000 if you complete a full race. It's like, okay, that's a little too spot on.
Right.
Yeah. It almost seems as if he knows how much money is owed, and that's odd because they never talk about it.
Right. Well, because he says, like, I think he knows how much it is because he does say, oh, I need to pay, like, tuition and that. So maybe it was, like, tuition money. Like, he was like,
I don't know.
Oh, tuition money. But it's not very clear. So.
That's the other question I have. How are you able to pay school tuition, food, clothing, and the mob by delivering milk cartons?
Yeah, he needs another side hustle.
Yeah. Like, you should be working at a cafe or delivering newspapers while you're delivering milk. Like, other things should be going on here besides just the milk delivery.
Right.
Speaking of milk, I watched Aggie's video, Aggie Brown, and she was not able to determine for sure if this brand of milk is a brand of milk being sold or promoted in Korea. But I need somebody to resolve this for me, because that milk is everywhere. In every episode, the exact same brand of milk.
I assumed it was a product. I assumed it was a sponsor.
Okay, so in Aggie's video on her channel, she said she looked it up and she's like, there was like a special milk label. Like, I guess it's like, how do I put this? You know, in Quentin Tarantino movies, sometimes they have like a brand of cigarettes, but it's like an Easter egg because it's not a real brand of cigarettes. Apparently the milk in this show is a similar thing. Like, it's not a real brand of cigarettes or a real brand of milk, but it's a kind of milk that shows up on TV shows.
So why do we spend so much time with the milk? Because honestly, I've kind of put up with it because I was like, listen, it had to be produced by someone and it was produced by this milk company. But if it wasn't, and it was just, we just spent a lot of time on milk, I'm mad.
Yeah, I don't understand it either, because at one point even, they go on this training trip, and they're drinking milk after they went to the sauna, and he's like, stupid, you're not supposed to drink milk, you're supposed to drink banana milk. And I'm like, if this is a product that they're sponsoring, you'd think they'd talk nicer about the product.
Yeah.
And they don't. And so that's the reason why I'm like, well, maybe this isn't a product placement. I don't know. I personally couldn't find any information on it, but I know a lot of it is probably because it would be in Korean and I'm just not looking up the right search terms. But yeah, like, I don't know. It's not clearly resolved from the information I've been seeing whether or not this is like a real milk promotion. I don't think it is. I think it's just kind of like the link.
Right. That's weird. I don't know if I like that. I will say, I think one of the things that was nice with the milk was the little gag where they kept like tipping the milk in each other's faces. Because I thought that was a really cute way of showing their affection for one another. Especially Jiwon's affection for him, because he didn't really show much except for the time that they cuddled and the time that he did the milk thing back at Sangha to get him back. Like, it was playful. I liked that.
Yeah, I like the milk thing only because I appreciated that he took the one thing he had in order to woo the person that he liked. So he's a kid who delivers milk, and he's like, I don't have any extra money because I'm paying the mob, I'm paying for school, I'm paying to live. I don't have the ability to buy you presents. I can't buy you a pair of running shoes, but I do have leftover milk from my milk route. I can leave you a milk. And I was like, that's cute because that's like a creative way to show I'm interested in your hobbies, I'm interested in your well-being, and I'm giving you something to show my interest and my affection for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was cute. I was on the fence about how I felt about the running shoes, because the scene where he's in high school and he's washing the running shoes, and then like he gets mad because like, I don't want these fucking shoes because they're wore out because I've ran so many miles. I'm not an athlete, so I don't know what the true or false is of it, but I felt like this guy's an asshole, because you don't have to yell like that. You could just like, these shoes are worn out. Please, whoever this is, do not return these to me.
Yeah.
You can have them.
He was really full of it.
Yeah, like I was thinking to myself, there's one scene where Jinwon asks Sangha, what is it about me that you like? And I was waiting for that answer, because I'm like, what is it about him you like? He's a jerk.
That's true. The whole time I was thinking like, Sangha, you know, you're cute. You could do better. Like, you got a good personality. Like, you should do better.
Yeah, I really like the actor who plays Sangha. I think
Me
that
too.
he's just super bright, you know.
Yeah. Very charming. He comes across on screen very well.
Mm-hmm.
Very endearing. Yeah, I liked him a lot. I did like that one line that Jiwon had about Sangha, though, when they were in the bath. And he's like, why is it every time you speak, it's either sad or erotic? And I was like...
That was hilarious.
I'm like, you called him out, because it's very true. Sangha, you need to talk about something else.
Yeah. My mom is dead. Can I make out with you?
Okay. Yeah. I will say,
All
when
right.
he did reveal that his parents were dead, I know this video is on mean, but I thought that went on too long. I was like, great, your parents are dead. Let's keep going. But he like kept speaking. And I'm like, this monologue has derailed, sir. Please shut up.
Well, he was trying to say, like, you know, if it wasn't for me following you as an athlete, I would have killed myself. So thank you for that. And I guess that's how he convinces Jinwon to let him stay as the pacemaker. So I guess it led to something.
I get this point. It just went on too long. It could have been condensed. It's a small nitpick.
Yeah. Now let's talk about what to me is high-key the most erotic thing I've ever seen in a boy's love. The nipple pads.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They could have done Vaseline.
I have watched a lot of boys love, and I've watched a lot of people making out. I've watched Tharn Type. I watched the scenes of Mew and Art and What the Duck. I've watched History 3 Make Our Days Count. I've seen a lot of erotic shit. There was something about that whole like lifting up your shirt while he's placing your nipple pads. I'm like, this feels intrusive.
Yes. But while it was happening, because Jinwon said like, oh, you can either rub Vaseline on your nipples or you put on a nipple pad. I was like, they should have done Vaseline. He should have been like, oh, hey, baby, let me just rub it for you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he could have used his tongue. It felt like a lot. It really felt like a lot, especially because, I don't know, maybe it's because I grew up as a woman. To me, nipples are a thing that we're always told, like, that's an erogenous zone. That's kind of a part of your genital set. You don't expose it to the public.
Right.
It is a part of lovemaking. And so, like, to see a man with, like, nipples to the wind and another man, like, manipulating them, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I've watched a lot of very erotic things in boys love. This to me felt like over the top, even though it was, people had clothes on, but it just felt very over the top to me.
Yeah. It was a good way for them to have sexual tension for a non-sexual show.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of little sexual tension-y moments, the little sneak kisses that Sangha gets are so funny to me. Like the one that he got when he's first like, I like you, I like you, I like you, I like you. I was like, oh, that's cute. But then they have this one scene where, and the scene comes out of nowhere. I want to ask you, did you see this coming? They have the scene in the middle of the final marathon where all of a sudden they're in their room dancing to Fly High up into the sky.
Yes. I think it was a fantasy scene.
it came out of nowhere. There was no prelude to this. It just all of a sudden fly high up into the sky.
Well, I think Sangha says, I'd rather be doing this right now. And then we go to that scene. It's still very jarring.
Yeah. So I guess he gets knocked down on the bed and like, oh, my arm hurts. And he's like, oh, did it really hurt you? And then when he goes to lean over to check his arm, Songha's like, and I'm just like, this is so stupid, but I love this.
It's so cute. I wish the show was more of that.
Yeah.
It ran for too long. I didn't care about the running.
I didn't mind the running. I mean, this is all going to be cut into a movie. And if this was, I mean, it was filmed to be a movie, but then cut to be episodic before they put it back into movie format. And because of that, I get why they need a lot of different tones and changes and stuff like that. And I think if it was a movie full of just like cuddly boyfriend moments, it would be an unbearable movie to watch. As a TV show, it's okay because we consume TV shows in this episodic manner, and you do need kind of like these filler fluff moments, but in a movie, you kind of want to go from point A to point B. So I get why they've got to have the running and everything else because that is the through line. But I would not have minded maybe having a little bit more kind of teasing while they're running, or like when they were in the bathhouse, there was some teasing while they were in the bathhouse, like a little bit more playfulness through the stuff that's more mundane.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I just think in general, the through lines of this plot are very thin, and I think they need to strengthen them, like tighten it up a little bit more, so then we can have some time for it to be a little fluffy.
Yeah.
But like, okay, one thing that bothered the crap out of me was this show was like 30% flashbacks to shit you saw in a different episode. Like, I understand, I think it was episode 3 was the explanation of like, oh, this is a flashback to high school, this is how I came to like you. Fine with that. But like the last few episodes were like 50% flashbacks to shit in other episodes. And honestly, especially if you're watching a movie, I don't want you to flashback to something I saw 20 minutes ago in the movie. Like, I was here for it. I'm watching it.
Right.
And I think even as a TV show, it's like they weren't flashing back to like little things that I didn't notice that. And that's what that was, because there's like some big twist reveal. It was like very obvious, very memorable character moments between the two that it was like, I don't need you to over-explain yourself here. Like, we could have used this to tighten some stuff up. We could have used this for something else. Some of the time was not spent as well as it could have been with that.
I hear you. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting choice to do as many flashbacks as they did, but I'm assuming that when they cut it for the movie, which is coming out October the 15th on Viki, if anyone's interested, when they cut it for the movie, they'll probably take out some of those flashbacks and add maybe one bonus scene to try to make it a little bit more concise.
It needs more. It felt a little not complete.
Yes, and that's a criticism I have for this show. It's a criticism we kind of had for Where Your Eyes Linger. I get that in Korea, just being bold enough to declare that a show is a BL show is a huge step, because Korea is not super LGBT friendly. So in doing that, they have to be very careful that they don't create something that damages the reputation of the actors involved. They have to do something that the public's not going to be up in arms about. And so they can't really just take it there the way you would maybe in Taiwan or Thailand. But Korea's K-drama industry is so deep in the pocket. Like, it's been going on for so long. It's so worldwide known. I've watched some K-dramas that I still think about to this day because the plots were so impactful. And I feel like you don't have to make a BL all about the kissing and the hugging and waiting for that one kiss because of the tension that went throughout the whole series. You can take some of those same elements from K-drama about intricate plot lines, about interwoven backgrounds, and you can pull that into BL, and it could still be wonderful. And I really and truly wish that the next time a BL is made in Korea, they will look at the plot not as a boys' love story, but look at it as a story with a boys' love subplot. And I think that would be much more effective.
Yes. They need to attack it like that. They should just, I'm just gonna send every Korean producer a link to Trapped and be like, this, do this. This is good for you. Like,
I mean, quiet as it's kept, even though both of us prefer Make Our Days Count, in many, many ways, Trapped is the perfect boys' love.
yeah.
Because it is a show with a plot before it is a boys' love.
Yes. Honestly, had you given it like an extra 15 minutes of like 6 years later or something,
Mm-hmm.
like a 10. Like,
Unbeatable.
no.
Yeah, unbeatable. So I really wish they would do that. And I was thinking about like what K-dramas would I love to see with a boys' love twist. And the first thing that came to my mind was I would love to see Coffee Prince as a boys' love, but then like there is no reveal that she's secretly a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've never watched Coffee Prince before, those of you who are watching this, Coffee Prince is hands down probably one of my favorite K-dramas of all time. It involves this girl who lives with her mother, and it's just her sister, and her mother, and she's kind of the breadwinner of the family. And she ends up getting into a motorbike accident with this young, rich, wealthy guy. And the wealthy guy is like, you need to make it up to me because you offended me and you don't have enough money to pay me back for what you've done. So he's like, my mom keeps setting me up on fake dates. I want you to pretend to be my boyfriend so that these girls will leave me alone because they'll think I'm gay. Because the girl has really short hair, wears like t-shirts and jeans, and kind of looks a little bit more masculine than feminine. So after they do this series of blind date sabotages, he's like, I'm opening a coffee shop. You're kind of a cute dude. Why don't you come work at my coffee shop? It's called Coffee Prince because all the guys I'm hiring are cute. And so they go to the coffee shop. The coffee shop is doing well. They're building up their team because they have a little friction at first because they're all strangers. And as they're building up their team, the young heir falls in love with the boy he hired to work the coffee shop. But he's conflicted because he's never identified as gay before. And so he's like, I don't know what to do with these feelings because I want to hold this person. I want to kiss this person. Maybe what I'm feeling is brotherly affection. So at first he's like, I'm going to adopt you as my little brother and I'm going to take care of you like my little brother, which means we can have a little bit more skinship because we're a family. And then he's like, but I want to also make that skinship apply to your lips. And so finally the dam breaks and they kiss. And he's like, okay, so now that I've decided that I'm gay, I'm going to disown my family and me and my boyfriend are going to move to America where we can be gay in public. And at the last minute, he finds out that his boyfriend is a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And he breaks up with him because he's like, you lied to me this whole time. I thought you were a guy. Like, you do not know the mental gymnastics I had to go through to prove to myself that it's okay to be gay. It's okay that I am gay, and it is okay that I'm in a gay relationship with you, and I'm going to forsake my family to be in my gay relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up making up in the end. He's like, well, I guess it's good you're a girl because now I don't have to give up all my wealth. But I would love to see a Coffee Prince where that's just it. It's like, now that I know that I'm gay, where do we go from here?
Right. I was so invested when you were telling this. I've never watched Coffee Prince. So I was like, that's what that's about? I thought it was about doctors for some reason. I don't know.
I don't know why you thought it was about doctors. It's literally called Coffee Prince, but okay.
Gong Yu is in that, right?
Yes, and has one of the best kisses of all K-drama history. It was what made me fall in love with him. But yeah, I would love to see a boys' love with that same thing going on because we do university all the time. Well, Coffee Shop is one of the most popular alternative universes in all of fan fiction. Do a Coffee Shop boys' love, but it's like, we're friends, more than friends? Am I gay? Now that I know that I'm gay, what am I willing to do about that?
Mm-hmm.
Make it happen.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah, I want to see it. All right, so let's just talk about like a little behind the scenes production stuff, if you will. So this show is really interesting because this is the second Boys Love production from the company that made this. They made Where Your Eyes Linger first. And the lead in Where Your Eyes Linger that played the rich young man, he was in Produce X. The lead who plays Sanga was also in Produce X.
And they interacted, like, I wonder if they ever had like a performance together that we could find.
I would love to see it. I think we need to go on a hunt to find that. But I find it very interesting that the Produce X boys who did not make it into the group are like everywhere. They're all over the place. And it goes to what I've always said to other people, like, if you're not going to make it in one way, find your niche somewhere else. And I like literally just on my channel yesterday, I was talking about like, if you can't make it in singing, go to acting. And that's exactly what these boys are doing. Obviously, singing and being an idol wasn't going to work. Go back to acting, because both of them had acting experience prior to doing their Boys Love shows. And I'm like, this is literally where you belong. Like, this is absolutely it. And you're killing it. Congratulations.
Both were really good in their respective shows.
Yeah.
It's funny that like most of the success from Produce, some of it has come from like not winning, you know? Like even season 1, the most popular person from season 1 is Chungha and Soyeon from G-Idol. You know, Soyeon didn't win. I think she made top 20, but she didn't win.
Right. And it's just like, you know, sometimes, well, number one, Produce is rigged. So not winning the show doesn't mean anything. But sometimes it's not the winning, it's the visibility. It's being able to build a fan base from there and have that fan base lead you to opportunities. For example, there's a song in this show that is it's not the Fly High song, but it's the other song that we hear all the time. Fuck, I had the melody of that song in my head. It has gone, it has escaped. But anyway, there's the other song that plays all the time too, but it's not the sad song. It's like the more peppy song, but it's not the Fly High song. That song is sung by Park Yuri, who was on Produce as well. Now, you might remember Park Yuri because he was the SM trainee who was like an SM model, and he had like a little mole on his face. Super attractive kid, extremely cocky.
You guys all loved him.
I thought he was hot as shit. I thought he was a terrible idol, but I was like,
He did that one rap performance where all of them forgot the lyrics except for that one guy, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
He sings that other song from the soundtrack. The soundtrack is actually a really interesting soundtrack. Sonically, it's not the best. The Where Your Eyes Linger soundtrack is better. But Kim Jae-jung from TVXQ JYJ sings one of the songs from the OST. That's incredible. Yes, the slow song that was playing when he was telling him about his mom dying and having to pay bills, that's Jae-jung.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, the soundtrack is crazy. And then the guy who plays Jinwon is in a group called the Man Black. Every time you hear Fly High Up Into the Sky, that's his group. That's him singing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Like, so.
I've never heard of his group before.
Me neither. And then the girl who plays Hyori, the only girl really in the whole show, that's her singing the female song in the show. Her name is Laura, and she's in a group called Dream Note.
I'd have to check them out because I thought she was very pretty, and I liked that song.
Yeah, so the OST for this was a very interesting thing to kind of go through and be like, who's this? Oh, that's that person. Who's this? Oh, that's that person. I really enjoyed going through there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Man, now I want to watch, like, the first few episodes of Produce X and be like, who do I see?
Also, I was going to bring up something else, and for some reason my mind went completely blank on it. Maybe it'll come back to me soon.
Ooh, while you're thinking, speaking of the first series, Rare Eislinger, one thing that bothered me a little bit was the cameo for that one actor.
You literally stole it out of my mind. That's what I was trying to think of, but I couldn't find it.
So it bothered me because they show him in this one scene, like Ji-won wins a race, they're all out celebrating, and then they're celebrating, and Sang-ha isn't there. And Ji-won's like bummed because he's like, hasn't admitted to himself that he likes his company, but he likes his company. So he's like, so he gets up to leave from, you know, he's like, I'll pay for everyone's time, but I'm gonna go, I'm tired. He's really just gonna go see Sang-ha. And he like makes eye contact with the actor from Where Your Eyes Linger. And they have this like small moment together. And I thought, oh, I didn't realize he's going to be like a character that will come back. He never comes back. And that did bother me a little bit because I'm okay with the gratuitous cameo, but the ending of his cameo, they set up him coming back for more, and he never does. And maybe he
Right.
gets in a cutscene that will make it into the film, but in the TV show, he's not there.
Like, it would have been, if they were going to use him in a cameo that mattered, I guess you would say. It would have been cool if we had a scene, apart from everything, I guess, where like the next day you see Sangha kind of holding his chest a little, not rubbing his chest, but holding his chest a little. And then you see his character be like, hey, how are you doing? He's like, I'm doing good, Sunbeam. And you find out that he's the guy who recruited Songhwa to go to the university to be the pacemaker.
Right.
Like something like that where like, you know, I was concerned because I was looking for you, or like I saw that Jinwon was looking for you yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Is everything okay between you two? He's like, yeah, Sunbeam, it's going fine. All right, well, if you need anything, let me know. Then he goes off into disappear. And then maybe on the final race, he's on the sidelines like, hey, you can do it, kid. Like that would have been enough cameo-wise to be like, okay, he's there for a reason. It's not a big reason, but it's a reason. Because like I mentioned earlier, I do not know how this kid is paying for university.
Right.
So
Wow.
it would have been, yeah, so it'd been like he has a scholarship and this is the guy that got him on board so he could get his scholarship. That would have been really
Right.
nice.
Because even if he did pay the mafia for tuition, how is he going to make the money for the next time?
Right.
Because he's not his pacemaker anymore. They're lovers. So what's the deal?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm assuming that, and this is all Assumptionville. I'm assuming that because he won first place in that race and now he's going to be a rival rather than a pacemaker, that the school might offer him some sort of tuition for winning a first place race. That would make sense.
Yeah, that was so weird that like he was like, I must win the race, because that wasn't the deal. It was, did you run 50K to make the money? Not did you win. Like it didn't matter if he won it all. So
Okay. I get why he won. So the reason why he won the race was not because that's how he was going to get the money according to the contract, because you saw he tore up the contract when he got around the mafia.
mm-hmm.
He won the race so that he could use the prize money to pay back the mafia instead of accepting the pacemaker money from his lover for being his pacemaker. So he said, I don't want to accept the money in his mind, I don't want to accept the money as the pacemaker because then I'm trading my affection for money. But at the same time, I can't have them hurt the person I love by dumping water on him and causing him to lose this race. So in my mind, I'm going to win this race and I'm going to use the prize money from the race to pay off the mafia in one fell swoop. And then if I choose to stay by his side, I won't be doing it for money because I don't owe the mafia any more money anymore.
Yeah, I feel like to me it came across as, oh, well, he already signed the paper, so he's doing it anyways. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been there, and he wouldn't have been running.
He got threatened. He was told that if he didn't show up and finish the race, that they were going to dump water on Jinwon. And apparently there's some crazy rule that if someone from the sidelines throws water on you, you're disqualified from the race.
No, I get that. Like, I get why he was there. But if you're the coach, I would assume, okay, he signed the contract already. You know? Like, he's there because he's the pacemaker. He's going to do it. You know?
I guess so. I mean, I feel like he was the pacemaker for the previous race, but he wasn't in the race. Instead, he had on a tank top with a huge sequin star on it. So I don't know how he ended up in the race. That's the part that I personally didn't get. I can get you being the pacemaker and running on the sidelines because that's what he did the first race. But in the second race, he had a number. He was legitimately entered into the race. And I don't understand why you would enter the pacemaker into the race when the pacemaker apparently can like stop and start when they need to because they don't have the endurance to do a whole race.
Right. I just, yeah. Again, the mob boss subplot should have been nixed completely. And I think they could have focused on almost more of a rivalry between the two. Like, I think it could have been interesting if they both really needed to win this race and that the show was building to the race, because to be honest, the show wasn't really building to anything the first few episodes. Like, I was kind of unsure as to where it was going to go. And then I was like, oh, well, there's a race. So I guess that'll be like the climax, I guess. You know, it's going to be a race. And I wish that they had been like, okay, this is going to be about these two boys, and they both want to win the race for different reasons. And they're on the same team for their school. So they kind of have to deal with each other, but they want to win for different reasons. Sangha needs the money. Jiwon, I don't know. He could have more problems with his dad. His dad's maybe not letting him pay. Maybe they both need the money.
Or maybe his dad's calling him and telling him, see, that's what I told you, you'll never get anywhere, but you never won a race since you got to college.
Yeah, for some glory, to please his dad. Mm-hmm. I think that would have been stronger. I think it would have been a little bit nicer if they maybe started off like as rivals. And I like that if in the end he's still like, oh, we're still rivals, but like at the end of the day, we're having fun, you know?
Mm-hmm. Which is
kind
why...
of like high Q. Bringing it back. I'm just saying, I think that in my opinion, that's a much better and compelling story that would have been just as easy to do. Mm-hmm. And it would have been a story that was, like we were talking earlier, it's not necessarily a boys' love because we're focusing on this. They just happen to fall in love with each other.
Right. I would love to see that. I think that would be really great. I think that it would have made it to where all the things that we were introduced to would make sense in the course of this show. Like, there was a message that somebody left on our review for Game Boys. And I know that I'm going to try not to talk about that review as often in the future, but they said that when they were in writing school, they learned that in part of giving a review, you're not supposed to tell the writer how to write. And my response was basically like, I didn't go to writing school, so I do what the fuck I want. But part of what I want to say is that us recommending changes is not necessarily because we're saying that the writer is a bad writer, unless like the writer really is a bad writer. It's more like saying, as an audience, this is where our minds are going, or this is where you lost us. And I think that if it was important to the writer to introduce the mob subplot, if it was important to the writer to introduce the father being disappointed because his son is not in a respectable sport, you can have all those things that you want, but the way you introduce them to the story and the way you keep them in the story is very important. And to just introduce it and let it hang, or just introduce it and then let it wrap up in one episode, that doesn't do anything to help the audience feel invested in something that you felt was important to put into this storyline.
Right.
So
I thought that was a weird comment too. I didn't respond to it because I didn't know what to say, but I kind of took that comment as writing style. Like, you can't tell someone how to write in a specific style, or like kind of like how all art styles are different, right? Like, you know, Picasso Cubism painting. If you're going to critique it, you can't say, I wish it were realistic. Like, that's counterintuitive to what the point of the painting is. But you can be like, well, I don't think this color palette is effective for what you're trying to say. So I think that the person was getting at writing style. At least that's how I took it. It's still not my favorite saying. I won't be using it.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm not going to change the way I do my reviews based on that comment, but I do want to emphasize us telling people that this is where the story could have gone and that it would have made more sense is not saying that what you're doing is bad necessarily. It's really just pointing out sometimes like what you're doing is clumsy and this is how you could smooth it out.
Yeah, because I think this show had some nice bones. I just wish it was, as you said, it was smoothed out a little bit more.
With that being said, my rating for this show is a solid 8.
Oh, that's pretty high. I was going to give it
a 10. It is. I gave it an 8 because I actually really enjoyed the color palette for the show. I thought it was a very bright show. I love the color palette. I love some of the scenes and the way, especially like when he's delivering milk and the camera's up on the hill and it's showing him winding his way through the neighborhood. I love some of those scenes. But I like the actors a lot. Even though the guy who played Jin Won didn't do a lot, there were some moments where he snuck in a smile and I'm like, you, sir, I am in love with. Like when Sangwa came into his room to sleep and he's holding him and Jin Jinwon is smiling, I
Mm-hmm.
remember thinking like, you're precious. I'll give you anything.
Yeah.
So I really like the actors. I liked the color palette. I liked the way it was filmed. And I liked the majority of what I was being offered on the screen.
Yeah. It's a very, it would definitely, it's a show that I would definitely recommend to someone. I'd be like, if you're looking for something cute, you just want to have a nice afternoon, you know, drink some hot cocoa, it's winter, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
This is a show. I'm giving it a
Absolutely.
7 because the story really was not tight and it was a little too bumpy. So I think I have to give it a 7 for that. But I did enjoy it. Like I thoroughly would watch this again and just have a cute afternoon and be like, okay, like I'll check out the movie. It was cute.
Yeah, I will check out the movie just to see what they changed. But yeah, I thought this was really adorable. I thought this was one of those ones that I would add to the list of Intro to Boys Love 101. This
Yeah,
is one of those ones I would give because it's such a light investment by the time the show is over. You lose nothing by spending the hour and a half watching it.
right. Even if you hate it, it's like, well, it was an hour and a half, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm. All right. So we've given our review. Now it's time to do Samantha's rant of the day, but today is not Samantha's rant. Today is Tea Corner with Mason and Samantha because
Oh my god.
tea.
Motive Village, what a company. The YG of the boys love community.
Oh no, not the YG because YG is not nearly as broke as Motive Village is.
That's fair. But scandal wise and
Yeah.
trashiness.
Oh, then Motive Village is the TS Entertainment of Boys
Mm,
Love.
not TS. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this drama starts with a show called Two Moons. And Two Moons was a show that came out, I guess it's been maybe 3 years ago. I'm not exactly
Like
sure.
17? Yeah?
I think so.
That
So
sounds
about 3 years
right.
ago. Yeah. And it's based on a novel written by Chiffon Cake. And that's what most boys lives in Taiwan. Most boys lives in Thailand are based on novels. And the show actually got a really good reception, even though both Mason and I will tell you it is like watching paint dry. It is the slowest moving boys love I have ever watched.
The finale, the last shot of season 1 of Two Moons, is the first kiss between the two main characters. It's
Yeah,
slow.
it's very, very slow. But it is cute.
Yeah.
That I will give it. It is cute. I really liked the Min Kit
Mm-hmm.
side couple. I wanted to see more from them, absolutely, if there had been a season 2 of Two Moons. But the show got popular, and because the show got popular, people were excited about a season 2 because, again, like I just mentioned, Min Kit, there was a little smoke there. People waited to see what kind of fire comes from that. And this is where the shenanigans with Motive Village start. The shenanigans of Motive Village start by them saying that the reason why they have to recast season 1's entire cast is because they had personal issues with the man who played what is his name? Palm? Is it Palm? Parm?
Fauna?
Fauna. I'm sorry, the names escape me because these shows were trash. The guy who plays Fauna, they had personal issues with him, and that's why they're recasting the whole thing. But here's the tea, here's the gossip.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who plays Fauna is an actor by the name of Got, and it's spelled like GXXDT. So it's got a crazy spelling. Anyway, the whole thing was Motive Village kind of sneakily put out into the atmosphere that Got is homophobic.
Mm-hmm.
There is a particular behind the scenes piece of footage that shows Got like wiping his mouth after doing his final kiss with Leo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for a long, long time, I never questioned whether or not Got was homophobic because I'm like, I've seen the scene, like, yeah, he probably is. But I never questioned how did anybody get that behind the scenes footage?
Mm-hmm.
Motive Village puts out the rumor that they can't do the next season with this cast because of Got's personal issues, the homophobia rumor. And
Mm-hmm.
so they need to recast the whole thing. What is not mentioned is the fact that they had auditions and it totally recast the show before they put out the statement that we have to recast the whole show.
Mm-hmm. The actors
So
found out, we found out, which is bad.
it's terrible, especially because out of the 6 main characters of the show, Scott was the only one represented by a different company.
Yeah.
So if there were problems with him, they could have replaced him and kept everyone else. They
Right.
didn't do that. And come to find out later on, the issue wasn't personal issues with God. The issue was Motive Village did not make enough money on Two Moons to pay everyone what they needed to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So the rumor was personal issues with God, copyright issues with the rest of the actors, and that's the reason why they couldn't go on. Which, you know, it sucks for the other 5 actors that they got caught up in this stupidity. But the good news is they went on to join Star Hunter Entertainment. They're doing well with Star Hunter, and they're about to be in another yaoi show called Gen Y, the series. So they're moving on with life.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
now
they're
we have
5. My favorite, my favorite boy band, SB5.
you try to forget things and they just keep coming back.
Yeah, it's painful. You should watch some of their videos. It's like painfully
It is.
not good.
It is dancing by the number.
Yeah.
But they are popular. Like they get CF money. They are actually popular in Thailand. I don't know why, but it's not for me. Anyway, so they cast the whole new set of actors for season 2. But with season 2, something that's different with this set of actors is that all but one of them is signed to a contract with Motive Village. Whereas before they were on a different management company and had been cast to do the show. So they pull this move that we've only ever seen one other time in Boys Love, and that's with Love by Chance season 2. They basically redo the storyline from the first season
Mm-hmm.
and then begin to do the rest of the storyline with Two Moons 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to be honest with you. I talked to Mason about this before we did our little chat here. And I'm like, if we were going to review one of the Two Moons, which one we would review? And Mason agreed. We would review season 2. Because it's just better. It's better in terms of you actually believe that the main couple like each other. But it's also better because the side couples are much juicier.
Oh,
We get a
yeah.
lot.
Make
yeah.
it? Yes.
Pavel Dome. So we get a lot more going on in season 2. And because of that, people had really high expectations for Two Moons 3. Because season 2 ended on a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2 ended on YU having his picture all over the school, basically, I guess, outing him or exposing him. I think it might have been a nude picture. I can't recall.
It was
It's been a
something
minute.
sexual.
Yeah.
And then, like, Fauna comes up to this guy and, like, punches him, I think.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? Cut to black.
Right. So we're all looking forward to Two Moons 3. And after that, the shenanigans really begin. So the guy who plays YO, his name is Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And after Two Moons 2 wraps up, we don't hear from Earth ever again outside of social media or outside of fan meets for Two Moons. Like he doesn't have any acting projects. He doesn't have any advertisements. He has nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the other 5 actors, including the one who's not signed to Motive Village, are all promoting as this boy band called OXQ. It's bad. It's bad.
That's
it's bad.
some dance by number shit. They're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like it's sad. Like you watch that video and you could see them like counting the steps in their head as they're all dancing.
It looks like a parody video of a K-pop video.
Yeah. One of the craziest parts about this too is Motive Village released a statement about this. because Earth, unsurprisingly, left. He was like, I will not be involved in Two Moons 3 because, yeah, no one gives a shit about me. I haven't done anything in months. And Motive Village was like, well, the thing with OXQ is that no, not everyone was guaranteed to join, and we assess the talents and charms of each member, and he just didn't make the cut. Basically, they called him untalented, which is crazy.
It is wild disrespectful. But you know, I have to give it up to Earth. He is a much classier human being than I am. Because after that statement came out, he went on Instagram and filmed himself singing and playing piano to show people that, yes, I am completely untalented. Watch me show you my untalent.
Mm-hmm.
And he never says anything about the company wrong. Even when he quit the company just a couple of days ago, his statement was like, thank you for the opportunity. I love playing YO. I'm going to finish out my obligations to Two Moons 2. And I love all the people I worked with. Thank you so much. This was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's so much better than I am. I would have been like, fuck you hoes. My contract is up. I dare you to say anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
But what wasn't said as part of the public record of back and forth was the allegation made by the director of Two Moons 2 that Earth refused to sleep with one of the higher ups at Motive Village. And after refusing to sleep with one of the higher ups, that's when they put his career on ice. And that he was filming another show called Call It What You Will. And he offered a role to Earth. No audition, nothing. Just, this is your role if you want it. And Motive Village said no. But when he asked for 9 to be in it, they were like, oh yeah, he can do it. When do you want him there?
Mm-hmm.
So it has been shenanigans. That and like the other actors, Ben and Pavel, have said they have not been paid. They're not getting no
been
money.
paid and they haven't been promoted because they're favoring J9, who are Ming and Kit in Two Moons 2. They're kind of the most profitable ship, so they have a lot more fan meets. You know, they just have more opportunities.
Right.
Like Ben, who plays Fauna, said he's made more money doing Twitch streaming, which he's only been doing a few months, than he ever did with anything he did with Motive Village, which is crazy.
Insane.
Oh.
Insane.
And he tries. That video of him performing Kill This Love, he's not good, but he is giving it his all, and I respect that.
Right. I mean, I don't know how Motive Village screwed up the money unless, like, again, it's on some TS bullshit where it's like some mafia money laundering type junk.
It's gotta be. Or they're just stupid. Which
Maybe.
it could also be. Because people liked Two Moons 2, clearly. You know, people liked it and were looking forward to season 3. So. And it's not like Two Moons 2 was, like, well made. It looked like crap. And it was kind of bad. The people still wanted it. It was made on a bad budget. Like, you could literally do that again and people would still watch it. So.
Yeah, because the actors really did try. Like, one of the reasons why Minkit is so profitable a ship is because the actors really did try.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Pavel, after the show was over, I saw so much fanship work from Pavel. Like, every opportunity he got, he's like, hey ladies, are you thirsty? Or he'd be like, look at me and Dome. We're doing the will they won't they challenge. Like, he was working overtime to make this shit happen. And for Motive Village to not be able to capitalize on that through merchandising or anything else, you have to wonder, what is their fucking problem? They even had a fan meet that was a digital fan meet because, you know, we're in a time of Corona, things happen. And people who paid $30 to go to this digital fan meet said that it started late, the internet quality was shit, and there were all kinds of production problems and delays during this fan meet. And that's not even talking about the $1,000 fan meet that they canceled the day before the fan meet.
Mm-hmm.
And then lied and said, oh, it's because if we did that fan meet, we would have had to quarantine for 14 days. And so there was no way that we could do it. And it's not our fault. Blame the promoter.
Mm-hmm. People still don't get their money back for that.
Yeah, Motive Village has just been fucking it up. And at one point, I think a fan wrote something about the fact that Motive Village is like blackmailing Earth, or like they're ruining his career. And they wrote back like, "You're thinking too hard," or something like that, like some snarky response.
Yeah, they're so bitchy on social media. What the fuck?
I'm like, you're a company.
Yeah, like, it's interesting to watch this crash and burn for a second time.
Right.
Like, it generally makes me wonder, will they try again? I don't think they will.
I think if J9 do well in this Chinese competition thing that they're doing, they'll attempt to Moon 3 and they'll recast everyone but those two. I feel like that's what they'll do because Motive Village is not smart, and that would be the stupid thing to do. If J9 are smart, though, they will go to this Chinese competition. They will do everything they can to win, and if they win, they will then hire the best attorney to break their contract with Motive Village.
Oh yeah, because Motive Village would take all of that promotional money. Also, could they win? Like, the talent doesn't seem like it's there. But they're very cute and charming boys. And, if Hyewon can make, if Hyewon can make it into Eyes One, anything can happen on these reality shows.
Right. Anything is possible. I mean, I feel like the show that they're auditioning for is a show to make a band, and it's based on like, it has something to do with the Untamed Boys, which Untamed is a BL show that we're not reviewing here because it's technically a bromance. Also, it's got 49 episodes, and who has time for that? But the Untamed is a massive show internationally, and it took China by storm. Like, it made stars out of the two leads. It's huge. They won all the awards at the end of the year. It's that fucking big. And apparently there's a boy group called the Untamed Boys that was made out of some of the side actors that were in the show, and it's doing well. And this whole series that they're about to be a part of is having something to do with the Untamed Boys. So this is a huge opportunity. This is a highly visible thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if J9 somehow pull it off and they make the Chinese public want them and they win or get involved in this project and it goes somewhere, it would be like Motive Village hitting the lottery, because if they get any percentage of the management for these two and it goes off the way it's supposed to, this is huge. This is big money. This could bring them back from the brink. The problem is, though, J9 would be robbed.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
They won't get any of it.
They won't get any of it. And they'll continue to be robbed over and over and over again. And so I really, if I could say anything to them, because it looks like Ben and Pavel are about to break their contracts as well. Because like all three, the mothers for Earth, Ben, and Pavel all got together to try to negotiate their way out of this contract.
Right.
J9, this is not a coincidence. This is not a mistake. This is Motive Village fucking it up. Please reconsider re-signing with Motive Village.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are trash. They haven't even made a statement about the fact that Earth put out a statement saying he's leaving the company.
Right.
Which, what entertainment company doesn't do that? I've watched so many K-pop disbandments. I've watched so many people leave their labels in K-pop. It always is the artist makes a statement, the company makes a statement. Even if it's bad, it's still everybody makes their statement. You don't just let one person make a statement and you stay silent. Even if the statement you need to make is, that's not true, we're going to court.
Right.
So, I mean, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And the person I feel the most sorry for out of all of this is Chiffon Cake.
Yeah.
Because Chiffon Cake wrote this story that obviously was popular enough to be made into a show. And they can't take this intellectual property anywhere else.
Which is a shame. Because this would be a great one for GMMTV.
This would have been ideal for GMMTV.
It's perfectly cute. It's not a huge amount of skinship, but it's got really, really enjoyable characters.
Yeah. And it's stuck at Motive Village. But anyway, that's the story, and it's juicy. I highly recommend you looking into it. If you go to the Psycho Milk website, they've got a lot of information about this whole saga because they've been following it from the beginning. Highly recommend you go there for resources. But it's just really a shame that you fumbled the bag like this, because Boys Love has only gotten more popular. And at this point, to have a proven property that all you need to do is make a sequel, like, look at fucking Love by Chance. Love by Chance 2 is a shit show. It is so cheap looking, but they have so much money to play with. And it's cheap looking because it's a fucking cash grab, but people are still watching it. Some people are still talking about it. Not any of the people I follow are still talking about it. Two Moons, in my opinion, had a lot more goodwill because they didn't have the whole Saint Perth problem. Mm-hmm. They had an entire cast that was willing to come back to do a season 3. Mm-hmm. How do you fumble it like this?
Right.
I have no fucking clue. Anywho, that's what it is. So I highly encourage anybody watching this, look up Motive Village, look up the situation, make your own assumptions and opinions for yourself. But they fucked this up. They really fucked this up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, Got has a porn video on Pornhub if you're interested in seeing what his meat looks like. With bonus material for you guys.
Okay. Well, so I don't have a manga of the week, Sam. You have Instagrams of the week?
I do. Instagram of the week is pretty easy for you guys. It's basically the lead actors from the show Mr. Heart. So let me pull up their Instagrams real quick. So the first Instagram we're doing is for Sangha. His Instagram is Aoing. It's AHOI_ING. Ahoing? Ahoing? Oh. Girl, I don't know. But anyway, that's his. The next one is Shuricane. It's XXURRICANE. And that's for the actor that plays Jinwan. Shuricane? I don't know. But he is a part of a group called The Man Black. If you want to know more about his musical group, you can find them at THEMANBLK, which is so much easier to talk about than either one of their individual usernames. Their individual usernames are nuts. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's just your standard fare, selfies, landscapes, promotion for new shows, stuff like that. So nothing to really write home about, but still something to watch anyway if you're like bored and want some cute boys on your timeline. Speaking of cute boys, I cannot wait for next week's review. We're doing a review for Waterboy the movie. Now, I want to tell you guys ahead of time, there are two Waterboys. There's Waterboy the television show and there's Waterboy the movie. Waterboy the television show has New from Dark Blue Kiss, Earth, who played Type in Love by Chance and is going to be in Tale of a Thousand Stars, and has Top Tap, who was just recently in Together. We're not watching that one. We're not. We're watching Waterboy the movie. And the reason why I asked Mason to watch Waterboy the movie is because Waterboy the movie, to me, is an easier watch than the show, because the show just pissed me off when I was watching it. But also, there is a relationship in Waterboy that when you watch the television show, you're like, this might be okay. When you watch the movie, you're like, what? And I feel like it's going to lead to a much more interesting conversation.
Oh, so, is the age difference relationship like worse in the movie? Oh, is he like an old man?
Just imagine if your grandpa got together with your best friend.
Thank you.
So I'm excited to watch the movie with Mason. Because we are watching the movie, I want you guys to know that so that you'll know what to look up, because they're spelled like literally the same way, Waterboy with an extra Y at the end. But also because Waterboy the movie does not get talked about enough. A lot of people talk about the series because the series was on GMM TV. It starred their cast of regulars. Also, with GMM TV, like the people that were in Waterboy the television shows went on to do really big things. So that's the one that everybody talks about. But GMM TV, and this is not a rant per se, GMM TV has a way of pulling the sex out of sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just slightly miss the mark all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really wanted to do the movie because I feel like you root more for the relationship of the main characters in the movie than you would ever do for the television show. I
Mm-hmm.
remember at one point I shared I think a GIF of the main characters kissing in a
Mm-hmm.
group chat that we were in. The most horrible kiss in all of Boys Love history.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited about talking about this movie, and I hope the rest of you will. But while we're talking about it, if you could do me a favor, and I'll mention it again when we do our live stream, leave a comment in our review next week about how you felt about the movie, but also a comment on how you felt about the television series. If you watched the series, which one you prefer and why. Because I'm not going to make Mason slog through that entire television series in order for us to do a review here. But I feel like it is something that's really important because there are a few movies coming up for Boys Love that we don't have access to because they come out of different countries that are probably more than likely going to get made into television shows. And I think it's important for those who are adapting movies into shows to understand what works and what doesn't. Like, I know you got to do something different because you're stretching 1 hour into 12, but try not to make some of the same pitfalls that Waterboy the series did.
Mm-hmm.
No, so that's assigned homework for those of you who are watching.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See y'all next week. Bye.